Hello. I thought I'd make a couple of points about how to make an inclusive LGBT friendly workplace. I'm going to keep it very short and sweet and just bring up the things that I see in the workplace coming up a lot. I think most people that I worked with these days generally know the basics about what the LGBT stands for, but not everybody is as comfortable when it comes to trans and non-binary people and how they manage pronouns and how they manage the topic of LGBT people in the workplace. They might know basics from the abstract, but they don't necessarily know how to manage it in a professional setting. So, on the topic of trans people in the workplace, it's good to ask the pronouns of all your employees and everyone who is in the workplace, regardless if they are transgender or if they are not transgender, or if you don't know. Just as a general rule, you don't always know if somebody is trans, and it's just good to make it clear that you are an inclusive workplace. So, what are pronouns? Pronouns are the words that you use to refer to someone. So, the most common pronouns that people tend to use are she, her, he, him, and they, them. Something that not everybody knows is that someone's pronouns might not match the way you see them typically. Someone might look like what you might think of as being a she, her, but they present more like a he, him, or vice versa. And just because they have a certain presentation doesn't mean that you need to automatically assume to using a certain set of words. Another thing people don't always know about is that some people use multiple pronouns. For example, someone might use she, her, / they, them. What that means is that person is comfortable using either sets of pronouns. So you can say, they finished this report, or you can say, she did that presentation. That both of those are absolutely fine. On the topic of pronouns, I also want to say that if you make a mistake, don't make a big thing about it. Just go, oh, I'm sorry, they, for example, and just move on with the sentence. It's a lot more awkward if you make a big thing out of it or you ignore the mistake. Just go, oh, sorry, I mean this. And remember for next time. It's important to get it right, but it's also important not to make the situation more awkward than it needs to be. So just move on swiftly. The second point I want to make is don't use language that makes assumptions about somebody's gender or sexual orientation situation. The gender reason is also for recognizing women in the workplace as well, and just not having any discriminatory language. But yeah, don't make assumptions based on somebody's gender or what kind of lifestyle they might lead because of their gender or assumed sexual orientation. You don't necessarily know someone's private life, so I wouldn't assume what they do when they're not working unless you have actually got to know them. It's up to that person if they want to open up to you about that. The third point I want to make is whether or not someone is LGBT. If somebody comes out to you as LGBT, that's up to them, whether or not they want to come out to you or anybody else in the workplace. So that's their information and you should hold it in confidence. Whether or not they want to come out to other people is totally up to them. and it's important to respect that. And if you, don't make assumptions about someone's sexual orientation in the workplace or gossip about it, because if that's something they want to talk to you about, that's great, but personal is personal unless they want to disclose that, basically.